Hello everybody, long time no see. Today we're gonna have in our YouTube studio and our YouTube channel the Deliver Us Mars. And well, actually that's a space-based adventure. It doesn't have to be filled with horror to keep you on the edge of your seat. And Deliver Us Mars proves that with the gusto. The following on from 1919, So 2019 Deliver Us to the Moon, Deliver Us to Mars once again takes us to the far reaches of the space. The goal this time, you guessed it, Mars. And once again you are on the trail of mission gone awry, with your own mission being uncovered what happened. Cue empty space spaceship dripping with atmosphere and cryptic recognize for you to piece together a series of events. You'll get more of us and Deliver of Mars if you have a good memory of Deliver Us the Moon. The story is direct continuation, and the characters you meet and the play as here are characters who were introduced to you through Deliver Us the Moon, many collectible notes and recognize. You could jump in blind. Deliver Us Mars gives just about enough context for this to be a standalone adventure, but you might be missing out without the extra depth provided by being familiar with its predecessor. So Deliver Us Mars feels a little more personal than Deliver Us to the Moon. You feel a little more connected to your protagonist, Katie. You know more about her and this time, and since her mission isn't as alone, and you also get to know the 3 crew members she's traveling with. It's a stark contrast to its predecessor, when the vast majority of the story came from the environment. You had to work to find it. This time Deliver Us Mars wants you to be sure you don't miss anything important. It's a bit more ham-fished than Deliver Us the Moon, then it's irregular. It's not necessarily a bad thing, however, the stories of both games fit together like a glove, but it's also too easy to miss an important note of recording the first time around. Here the cutscenes and the characters' dialogue do the most of the heavy lifting. Sure, there are still notes and holographic recordings to find which will give you additional information about the time in between the both games. Deliver Us Mars takes place some years after. Although it's clear what happened on the moon has left many scars that are yet to be handled for outcast of characters. There is a nice mix of the gameplay to enjoy in Deliver Us Mars. As Katie, you'll be typically exploring on the foot, but you will get a few opportunities to drive around in a rover as you travel from one side to another. Katie is rather nimble and she's quick to adapt to the environment. Equipped with a pair of pickaxes, you might find yourself having to climb up a rock face, for example, or use a makeshift climbing wall to maneuver around a locked-down space station. For the most part, it's fun, and climbing in particular gave us Tomb Raider in space vibes. But we had one particular instance where we need to jump from one wall to another, in which the controls fought against us. We failed many times before landing the jump, which felt like a fluke when we did. It's like a random bug which will hopefully be ironed out in a coming patch. Despite plenty of action, however, our favorite moments with Deliver Us Mars have been the equary ones. There is something delightfully eerie about exploring an abandoned space station, and so making our way through a series of rooms, areas, and only hint that people once existed there has been the highlight of the experience. Mars is bigger than the moon, and it's so only fitting that this is a bigger game, with more to explore and uncover. Wandering around abandoned living quarters or coming across a huge space filled with the cryo chambers never fails to leave us in awe, and Deliver Us Mars has plenty of those moments. It also has plenty of puzzles, which at least initially are great fun to solve, but perhaps I would say they welcome towards to the end of the game. There are a few environmental puzzles also where you may have to make sure you are accompanying drone to gain access to a locker room, for example. But there are also a lot of puzzles which require you to link up a series of energy beams to activate doors and so forth. There are 2 more go complex as the game wears on, but it's likely your patience for them will dwindle. More variety would have been nice as they to get a little repetitive. Well, it's a small complaint, though, and it's a fair price to pay for the wonder and intrigue of exploring the world created in Deliver Us Mars. Even though there is no enemy they treat at any point, Not knowing what awaits around any corner still keeps you on the edge of your seat. An excellent soundtrack helps with that, too. A beautiful spine-filling score that rises at just the right moments to enlarge the thrill. There are still few instances you can die with, even without enemies to face off against though. Felling remains your greatest treat, particularly while climbing, and there are more numerous moments where you need to keep an eye on your oxygen levels. It's not the same in your FaceTime we had the Deliver Us the Moon. Instead, there is a subtle gauge of lights of catty suit you need to monitor. Get lost exploring outside or take too long to transfer a particularly tricky rock face and she will meet a suffocating end. Deliver Us Mars is that rare, beautiful thing, a successful sequel which is not only built on its precedent but enhanced the experience in numerous ways. Sure, more puzzles variety would have been nice, but that's about the only complaint we can make about this otherwise thrilling, atmospheric, deep space adventure. Thank you for watching, don't forget to comment and subscribe guys. Also provide your honest opinion on this game if you already played it. Appreciate that. Bye.